सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। So we meet after a long time. I hope that you have been busy in one form or the other, of the studying and listening and inquiring and thinking. Atma Vichara, the thinking, is very important to make progress. In fact, I remember a saying from the West somewhere that those who feel without much thinking, for them the life is a tragedy. And for those who think, hopefully with some feeling, the life is a comedy. This is a good way to look at it, really, because what Shastra says, Advaita Vedanta, Shruti says is that what delivers the goods is your own thinking, your own life, your own view of life, not your own life, but your own view of life. And it's interesting, the Shruti is something unique. We don't find that anywhere else in the whole creation. We don't. Not a question of boasting. It's not a question of boasting at all. It's just you cannot find it. And it gives the message in two ways. Same message presented in two different words. One of them is, and this is the uniqueness of Vedanta, that you are not a flawed individual. Because this is the message from all spiritual, religious thoughts in the whole world, which says that you have some problems and let us help you with overcoming those problems. And one day you are going to be okay. This is their message. As you know very well by now, but these things have to be kept in mind as to what the basic vision of Vedanta is. And the vision of Vedanta is you are not flawed at all. In fact, there is no one as perfect as you are. No one. Really, this is a fact. And in fact, hidden in this is Ishvara is your, Brahman is your reality. So one vision of the Vedanta is, as I was mentioning, is that you're not a flawed individual, and any idea that you have problems is a mistake. So understand what the mistake is. And you never were flawed, you will never be flawed. There is no such thing as a flaw. That's a notion. A flaw is a notion, not satyam. You are satyam. You are not a notion. You are. You're not a philosophy. This is knowledge. This is a fact. The fact that you are a female or a male is not a philosophy. It's a fact. So similarly, that you are not a flawed individual is a fact. It's not a philosophy. So this is one way that Vedanta conveys its message, basic message. And we should keep that in mind. Where am I? And so then the questions occur, really? How come I'm making a mistake? Good questions. Okay, now you are listening. Now you are talking. And the other way that Vedanta conveys is that if you're saying, how come am I making a mistake? Is that you are half asleep. You are in fact sleepy. And a sleepy person kind of gets a little bit of it, but not really all of it. You're not fully awake yet. There's a verse in Kathopanishad, I think, which says, Uttishta Jagrata Prapya Vara Nibodhata. He says, get up, wake up. So, if our idea is, where am I how come you're saying that I'm a perfect person and what mistakes, how do I know that I'm making a mistake? Then the other way that the Shastra conveys its message is, you are asleep. And it's interesting, the other thing we should see is that the way the Shastra conveys its message to us is not all of a sudden. It doesn't just overwhelm us, because what we have to do is to understand it. And understanding takes my own time, my preparation, my progress, and so on. As we know, this is the adhikaritvam. So the Shastra also knows it very well. It doesn't just say, okay, you are the perfect person, and just leave it at you. Say, think about it. Nothing is going to happen. I will continue to feel that I'm an imperfect person. I've got problems. This is what I'll continue to think. And I'll put the message of the Shastra all on the side. One of these days, I have to see it. So there is actually a kind of stages of understanding that we have to go through. The reason I'm mentioning this is, I was reading something from Akhandanandaji's books that brought me into this idea. You see, the basic, so the Shastra provides you with the basic understanding first, knowing that more than that you will not be able to digest. And undigested food is a problem. You should only eat as much as you can digest. So in the beginning it says, there is a Shrishti. There is some kind of a creation. We all know it is. We are born into it. And whatever the Shrishti is, that is what you see. So this is called Shrishti Drishtivada. This is the basic Vedanta. After considerable inquiry, growth, questioning, dedication, loyalty to it, and so on. Slowly we come up to the advanced Vedanta, the PhD level, which is not given in the beginning for a good reason, as you know. Then it says, now let me tell you what is happening. It is not Shrishti Drishtivada, but Drishti Shrishtivada. What does that mean? It means as the creation is as you see it. It's not as though you are part of the creation. You are the whole creation. Everything is really based on how you look at it. So this, we've already discussed it in a lot of different ways. I'm just revising it. So for example, one of the things is, your parents did not choose you. You chose your parents. The mind is not included in the body is included in the mind, etc., etc. We have seen all of that. And one aspect of this which I was reading, this is what triggered my thoughts on this, was that you know that there is a traditional view in Vedanta that the one day of Brahmaji, and I forget exactly how many years in human terms, but it's something like, I don't know, I'm just going to say 100 million years, okay? Something like that, Brahmaji's day. So that is divided into 4 parts, what's called yugas. Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, then Treta Yuga, and Satya Yuga. So this is what we have been studying. This is the basic Vedanta. And as you know, what is said is that we are currently in, if you are a student of astrology, when we were at Salisbury, for example, there was one very erudite, scholarly person who was teaching astrology. And so they all study it in great depth about, all of the astrological aspects and so on. So they will tell you we are in the Kali Yuga right now. Kali Yuga means one where there's a lot of conflicts, a lot of wars. This is called Kali Yuga, etc. Then we might have been at a different point in our life in different yugas. So Swami Akhandananda points out a verse from the Vedas. I'm not sure exactly which Veda has it. I have to research it. But it says the following, just to give you an idea. It says, I made a note of it, Kalaha Shayano Bhavati. Sorry. Kalihi, not Kalaha. Kalihi Shayano Bhavati. Sanjihan Jantu Dwaparaha. Some of these Sanskrit words, even I'm not quite sure of it. Sanjihanastu Dwaparaha. Uttishtan Treta Bhavati Kritam Sampadjate Charan. This is the verse. Kalihi Shayano Bhavati Sanjihanastu Dwaparaha Uttishtan Treta Bhavati Kritam Sampadjate Charan. What does it say? So in Hindi, so I'll say that in Hindi first and then I'll translate that. This is Swami Akhandananda says, लड़ाई करने वाला कलियुग में है, संशय करने वाला द्वापर में है, साधन करने वाला त्रेता में है और सिद्ध पुरुषः सत्य युग में है रहता है. So this is an idea about the drishti shrishtivada, that everything is in you. Oh, very beautiful. So it says, let's look at this. Let me do the English translation. It says, those who have not even begun to inquire about the reality of what's going on, and they're just knocking around the life with good and bad and this, that, and this. So ladai karne wala means they are fighting. They're just fighting with themselves, with the world, with Ishvara. This is called Kali Yuga. They are in Kali Yuga. That stage of one's life can be called a Kali Yuga. Then comes the next one, which is Dwapara Yuga. And in Dwapara Yuga, Samshaya Karne Wala means you have begun to study, inquire, look into the truth and so on, but you have a lot of doubts. And the doubts are very powerful, almost like overwhelming you. Yes, you study the books and so on, it looks this way and so on, etc. But, then I don't know about this. Maybe these are all doubts. So at least you made progress. So samshaya karne wala dwapara mein hai. So that stage of your life where you have quit fighting with yourself, belittling yourself, fighting with the world and so on, you have now started to inquire. What is going on? Who am I? What is the truth about the world? Who is Ishvara? But now you have a lot of doubts. You are at Dwapara. And the third stage is sadhana karne wala treta mein hai. So sadhana karne wala means the one who now keeps the doubts under control and moves on with what is it that I need to do to fully grasp what is being said. So sadhana means here you have the Bahiranga sadhana and then finally the Antaranga sadhana, which is Shravana Manana and Nididhyasana. So at this point you are now well on your focused way to go forward. This is the Treta Yuga. And finally the Siddha Purusha, Jivan Mukta, which we all will be, and no doubt about it. We all are already Jivan Mukta, we just don't see it, we don't realize it at this point. Siddha Purusha Satya Yuga mein rehta hai. So, the point I just grasped from all these was that it is totally up to us. And it's very possible that you may run out of time. It's very possible. Because you're moving from one yuga to the other, all in your lifetime. It should be happening all in one lifetime. But suppose something happens to your body and you cannot make it. No problems. You will really restart at the appropriate time where you had left off. So it might take a couple of lives, but this is what we need to do. So with that introduction, let's go back to the Mandukya Upanishad and what we had been studying. And the seventh mantra, which we did not chant, so we just chant it, and then we will begin to pick up where we were last time. Na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubhayatah pragyam, na pragyanaganam, na pragyam, na pragyam, adrishtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyaya saram, prapancha upashamam, shantam, shivam, advaitam, chaturtham manyante, sa atma sa vigyeyaha. So in this exposition of the Mandukya Upanishad, which is considered to be a highly condensed and advanced Upanishad, worthy of studying by all experienced Vedantins. It presents exactly the same vision that we have been talking about, which is Drishti Shrishti Vada, Ekatma Vada, single person Vada. The whole world, this different Mahatmas present this in their own ways. Swami Dayanandji used to say, you are the problem, you are the solution. It is exactly the same thing. Swami Akhandananda recently pointed out that all the most recent saints, Kabir, Guru Nanak, they all exactly had the same view. It's all up to you, how you look at things. And you have the Shastra, which supports, if you have a question on, okay, what do I supposed to do, how do I look at it, and so on, Shastra gives you the support for that. So here, Mandukya is doing exactly the same thing. So as we were studying, if you recall from the last few classes, that the reason I am not able to see it as clearly as I should is because I am lacking some of the fundamental aspects on where I'm making a mistake. So this is what we try to do in our recent retreat at Sailorsburg, where I went through 21 different aspects that we should be very much aware of as we see the message of the Vedanta through the Bhagavad Gita. And I'm, again, this is a work in progress. I still have some more work to do to refine it to the best of my ability, and I will do so. But it's important for us to know what those building blocks are. What are the things that we need to do? This is what Vedanta says. You cannot just do it by yourself because you need some help. Even though you have to do it. But the guidance has to come from the Shruti. So here in the Mandukya Upanishad, it says, look, and this is what we have been doing. See the value and importance of what is called upadhi and abhimana. So, abhimana means an identification. An identification means something which is not you, but something that you superimpose upon yourself, and you are playing the role of this superimposition. Now, we have taken so many examples, and the example of watching a movie is a very good one in the modern parlance. Or to look at something through colored glasses. So there, I don't know, it just occurs to me. People put on dark glasses. I do too. People put on dark glasses. And it's interesting. It's very possible that you put on these dark glasses for two reasons. One is that you want to protect your eyes from the glare. So the darkness of the glasses is an upadhi. Because you are not looking at it at the brightness of the light, you are looking it through the dark glasses. So this is one thing. But I find that many people wear dark glasses for the abhimana. That, it's kind of like, where am I looking? Nobody can see. They can't see me, I can see them. That kind of an abhimana, or that I look good in it. Possible, I don't know. So something like this is really what is happening. So we have a upadhi that we use unknowingly. And as a result of that, we have an abhimana. We become the user of the upadhi, and we behave like that. What are the upadhis? So this is what is being pointed out in the Mandukya Upanishad, starting with verse number 3. Jagrita sthana bahishpragyaha saptangaha ekona vimshati mukhaha sthula bhuk vaishwanaraha pratamapada. This is the first upadhi. And it also points out how to see it as an upadhi and how to reduce your abhimana. Because the fact of the matter is that each one of us has an abhimana through the body-mind complex that has been given to us. Isn't it? We have an abhimana. I am someone. Abhimana. You are actually not someone. You are everything, but you don't see it at this point. Right now, what I am seeing is that I am someone right here. I'm teaching. You feel that I'm sitting there listening. I hope you are listening. I don't know. So you have an abhimana through the body-mind complex, both the hardware and the software, both the sthula sharira and the sukshma sharira. This is what is pointing out. So, Jagrita sthana bahishpragya saptangaha. The seven different places where my my consciousness goes out, the eyes, the ears, the mouth, and so on. Ekona vimshati mukha, 19 different ways. All that we have studied, I won't go into that. This is an upadhi. This is a complicated upadhi. Like instead of just having dark classes, this is the upadhi. And I am fully involved in understanding the whole world through this upadhi. It's not the final word. So let's start with that. So there it says, Prathamapada means that instead of looking at the world through your own individual personality, oblivious of what is happening outside, grow into an idea of yourself not just as a Vishwa. Well, Vishwa is the name, individual name. You may have different names and etc. Just on the point of names, it just occurs to me. Our abhimana, our sense of identification, etc., is very much involved with the name. And the name was given to me later on. It is not natural to me. I was not born with the name, but the name was given to me. And it's now stuck. Completely stuck. And I respond to the name. I identify with the name. My abhimana is based on the name. And that's the way I think, that's the way I behave. This is what it is. So Swamiji Akhandanandaji says, look, this is not natural to you. In fact, this is what happens when you take Diksha. When you say Disha, you can give up your old name and you're given a brand new name. And so I'm not sure. I hope you have seen some actual process of the Diksha. I have seen so many of them. Every year I used to go to Rishikesh. And when my mother was alive and Swamiji was also there, every year I would leave my family for 2 weeks. All my vacation from work, my wife still reminds me. She says, all our friends, they would take the kids to Europe and this, that, or the other. And whatever vacation you have, every year you would go to Rishikesh. And of course, you will also see your mom, which is nice. But you'll spend a week in Rishikesh. So, and they have really sacrificed their life for me. I must say that. True. Whatever she says is so true. Anyway, I used to go to Rishikesh. So there, Swamiji would give Diksha to 5 or 6 people. And it's a very interesting process. I knew so many of the previous ones and the new ones. How they get transformed with a new life, new name. And the new name for them, which is just given to them by Swamiji. I remember a lot of us were asking Swami Dayanandji, how do you select the names? do you think about it for a long time ahead of time? Or does it come to you at the spur of the moment? So he said, the latter. It comes to me at the spur of the moment. He says, I have some general thinking, and then based on that, I look at the 5 or 6 people and I, give them some name appropriate to what I think about it. And it all just happens. I don't think about it ahead of time or something. And he also will give names that are very appropriate. For example, he would not give name to like Ashokananda. Ashoka means not sorrowful. Devoid of sorrow is called Ashoka. So Swamiji says, that's not a good name if I were to give somebody. Because that means you first invoke Shoka. And then you get rid of it. Why even invoke Shoka? When you say Ashoka, why even say Ashoka? Because in the word Ashoka there is Shoka. That reminds me. Swami Dayanand used to say, he says, I'm sure that he has seen a lot of Christian marriages. I'm sure he has seen it. I know I have. Swamiji used to say, in these Christian marriages, there is a vow that is taken, Christian vow. And he says, neither death nor disease will separate us. We are all one. Something like that. But the word death is used. Swamiji says this is not, I don't agree with this. This is a very beautiful, pious, lovely ceremony. Why use the word death at that time? If it happens, it happens. It's very interesting. I'm just giving you some general ideas as they come to my mind. Swami Akhandananda also says pretty much the same thing. He says, somewhere I read, that why even invite bad thoughts? Like, for example, this is the issue in our mind, is that sometimes we are, so we have a problem with the past, which is another issue, because things have gone, they have died, things have died. Why bring them up? It's like taking out a corpse from somewhere it has been buried. Why do that? Let it go. And this is what happens in our life, especially if some thoughts occur that are troublesome to us. Then we bring it up again and again. Some insult. Oh, I remember one insult that took me quite a long time to overcome, which was interesting. It was before Vedanta, and possibly even after in the study of Vedanta, it might have continued, but no longer. So I was appearing for these government exams called UPSC exams. Those of you from India will see it. So these were class 1 exams. These are the best in the electronics era. So there were 6 people chosen out of thousands. And I appeared after I graduated from my college. I appeared twice. First time I could not get class 1. I was number 12 or 13. And the second year I got it. I was one of the 6 people. was chosen. So I remember in the first year where I was not successful, there is actually a oral exam. People examine you and say, okay, answer the following question. For example, one of the questions I remember, which I knew the answer to, but it was asked, why are the what's called manholes on the street? Remember the manholes that you have to kind of like an iron cover that you can take out and go inside to look at pipes and so on. It's called manholes. Why are manholes round? This was the question. Okay, let me ask you that question. See what you think about it. Why are the manholes round and not square or rectangular? It's a very simple answer. Because a rectangular, what's called a manhole, can fall into it. Because if you twist it lengthwise, it does not cover the hypotenuse and it can fall down. But the round one cannot. This is the answer. Anyway, there were a lot of questions like that in the Viva Voce. One of them was, so there was 5 or 6 people sitting there just kind of looking at, can you answer this? So one of the people said, he was whispering to the other, let me ask him this. And the other one says, I don't think he will get it. You know, I heard that, and that admonition, that sense of disappointment has stayed with me for a long time. So this is the problem with our thinking of the past. Is let it go. Hey, well, raises up the legs, they say, shut up. Now comes the future. This is what Akhandanandaji was saying. He says, you know, there are legitimate reasons for planning. If you have to catch a plane, then you have to look at the future. What time should I get up? What time should I go to the airport? All of that is good. But this is called bhayam, which are thoughts of the future, which is not necessary, which is fear. Why even bring that up in your mind? Because you know what will happen? The moment you bring that up, it's an invitation for the happening to possibly occur. Swamiji says no. No. Absolutely not. Live your life just the way you are required to do, according to the needs of the day. Do it. For the future, plan for the future. Absolutely. Past is just gone. If you want to learn some lessons from the past, learn it. That's okay. But the sense of fear unnecessarily brings you down. There's no reason for doing that. So anyway, so going back to the Mandukya, it says you are at the moment thinking of the world through your own individual personality. Let me suggest the first step you should take. And the first step is enlarge your vision to take in the whole world. What does one mean by that? Take in the whole world? So what it really means is that there is a whole world which is functioning. There's a lot of different parts to it, a lot of different reasons for it to do what it does. And enlarge your self of identity, your abhimana, to see just observe. You don't have to do anything. You're not responsible. Ishvara is responsible. Let him take care of it. You don't have to do anything. All we need to do, which is, our good advice from lots of different spiritual thoughts and so on and so forth, is just think about the world also within your own consciousness. So you don't have to worry about, you don't have to be concerned and worried about your individuality up to a point where you need to, it's okay. But don't be concerned about it all the time. Me, I could do this, what am I going to happen? What fears do I have? Or what if this happens? No need to do that. Just enlarge your vision to see that this is a very, very, very vast world. And part of that is learning, science, psychology, all of that. So this would actually, psychology, let's leave it for the second one, but just the whole world, how it functions. So that is Virat, Vaishvanara. So this is what verse number 3 says, that Prathamapadaha is Sthula Bhuk Vaishvanara. You haven't reached the point of understanding yourself yet, but this should be the first step. So this is the verse number 3. So look at this. There's actually 2 upadhis that you can invoke in your waking state. 2 upadhis. One would be called the limited upadhi, Vyashti upadhi, your own immediate body-mind complex, fine. The other one is the Samashti upadhi, an appreciation of an amazing world out there. And if you have the ability to, if your mind is functioning, your eyes are functioning, your ears are functioning, you see this beautiful world all in your own consciousness. You don't have to do anything. You can just close your eyes and open it. And one thing you could do is, when you are normally thinking about the Vyashti Upadhi, just close your eyes for a few seconds, and when you open, make a resolution that I'm looking at the whole world. This is the first step, Prathamapada. Then comes the next one, which is number 4, Swapnasthanaha Antah Pragyaha Saptanga Ekona Vimshati Mukha Prabhivikta Bhuk Tejasaha Dvitiya Pada. Very similar to the first one, but instead of looking at the visible world, the Sthula Sharira of the Vaishvanara, think of the thought world. The thought world. What do you mean by the thought world? So what it means is, this is the Taijasaha is the individual thinker, and Hiranyagarbha is the thought world in general. So let's look at this one. Your individual thoughts are in fact derived from the thought world. They are not separate from the thought world. I think a very beautiful analogy is the following. So, if you look at the waves in an ocean, the ocean is not made up of individual waves. No, that is very obvious. Like a house is made up of individual bricks, the ocean is not made out of individual waves. Then, are the waves a part of the ocean? Not really. Why not? Because if the wave was a part of the ocean, and you keep on taking parts out, will anything be left? Technically, this is what would mean a part of the ocean. So no, the wave is not a part of the ocean. Then what is it? You can say it's an aspect of the ocean. I've thought about this English word, and I think it matches the meaning quite well. It's an aspect of the ocean. So what it means is, it's just a way of describing the ocean in individual terms. So let's go back to the thought world. So your and my individual thoughts, I think so. I don't like what is being talked about. I like this, I don't like this. All these kinds of individual thoughts, they are an aspect of the total thoughts, Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha does not depend on my thoughts. I don't depend on Hiranyagarbha's thought. I am an aspect of the total thoughts. It's a very beautiful thing to see. For example, when you get hurt, you have pain thoughts. Really, what hurts you is not the body, but the thought that my body is painful. That is the thought. It's a painful thought, if you can say that. This painful thought is not individually manufactured. It's not as though some people have a pain thought and they start laughing. Some people have a pain thought that they start crying. There is a huge thought world where all the possibilities of thoughts and actions and reactions are already there, like an ocean. And you invoke it based on where you are in your world at any one time. So therefore, to go back to verse number 4, the second pada, dvitiya pada, is to grow out of the realm of your individual thoughts. And the individual thoughts means, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to me? I hope that I'm okay. I hope that I'm acceptable. I hope people like me. I don't like anybody disliking me. These kinds of thoughts. To grow out of that. And nothing needs to be done. There's no physical action as such. You simply alter your view that there is a whole world out there. And I am just an aspect of it. I'm not part of it. I'm just like an ocean. It's a beautiful analogy. I'm an aspect of it. And part of that is things come and go. And I don't need to worry about my individuality, what is going to happen to me. It will happen. It's okay, let go. And if you're feeling bad about it, that's okay too. Because that's all part of what life is. So you have, this is submission to Hiranyagarbha in some ways. So that's the step number 2. Then comes the very important third step, which is in verse number 5. Yatraha, and here the Upanishad gives 2 verses to describe the Tritiya Pada. First 2 verses were single verses to describe the Pratama Pada and Dvitiya Pada, but verse number 5 and 6 together present the Tritiya Pada. Yatra suptona kanchana kamam kamayatena kanchana swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam. Sushuptasthana eki bhutaha pragyana ganaha. We'll go back to it when we describe the verse number 7. Pragyana ganaha eva anandamayaha hi anandabhuk cheto mukhaha pragyaha tritiya padaha. And then number 6, which is also part of the same verse, Eshaha Sarveshwaraha, Eshaha Sarvagyaha, Eshaha Antaryami, Eshaha Yonihi, Sarvasya Prabhavapyayauhi Bhutana. So in describing this in great detail, Swami Akhandananda says, please make a note of this, really interesting. Here the upadhi, unlike the Jagrata Avastha upadhis that present to you in 2 forms, Vyashti upadhi and Samashti upadhi, right? Vishwa and Vaishwanara or Virat. It's the 2 names for the same thing. Or the Sukshma Sharira, where you have Taijasaha and Hiranyagarbha as 2 upadhis. In the third step, third stage, Pragyaha is a single upadhi, not 2 upadhis. There is no Vyashti upadhi, no Samashti upadhi. There is just upadhi. And what is that upadhi? So this is what is called Karana Sharira, the causal body, which gives rise to the Jagrata Avastha and the Swapna Avastha. Bija Avastha, this is a seed form. Nothing is lost. It is just unmanifest for the time being. That's all. And where is the bija? Who keeps the bija? Is it in you and I individually? Or is the seed given, it's seed in the Ishvara? So here, now, the teaching clarifies that it's one and the same. How is Sarveshwaraha Antaryami? That this bija, this seed form, which is in an unmanifested form, is actually the Ishvaraha residing in you and everyone else at the same time. And your bija gives rise to your personality manifesting again. Next morning when you're up, exactly the same personality that you had before, more or less the same as you had the day before, but unmanifested for the time being, in a bija avastha. There is no samashti, no vyashti. It is just a bija avastha. And this is very interesting. Let me just talk a little bit about that, and then I'll wrap up and we'll take it up next time. So, so suppose there is a kind of like a fight between a seed of a tree and the tree. Well, the same thing is true. You can even say father and son, mother and daughter, etc. But let's say in the form of a seed and a tree. So there's a fight going on. The fight is that the seed says, I came first, you came later. The tree says, that's not true. You cannot be until I am, not until, but unless I am. The seed grows from a tree. But the seed comes back and he says, I know, but how can you be there unless I am there? So both of them are fighting. Who came first? So now we are trying to understand this. So this is what is called buddhi. So the buddhi is for very specific things. Like, for example, it is for a specific time. Right now, for example, I'm looking at it is, my buddhi says it is 9:34. Right? This I can grasp. But the buddhi cannot grasp the beginning of time. It cannot grasp it. It just gives up. You can try, you can say, let's say, maybe 5 million years ago. The world started 5 million years ago. What? Maybe before that, maybe. You cannot do it. Aprapya manasa saha. He said, the whole thing comes back without really any answers. So you give up. You say, I don't know. So this is what is called kalaha. Kalaha means time. Is anadihi. Anadihi means that I don't know, it has no beginning. I don't understand the beginning of it. Okay? So therefore, both the seed and the tree are both anadi. So they're both fighting. They're anadi. I came first. They'll say, okay, we don't know who came first. We are both beginningless. Anadi means beginningless. So, listening to this fight, this dialogue, was Earth, Prithvi. And Prithvi says to them, you are both wrong. Because both of you are born from me. The tree is also born from me, and the seed is also born from me. I am the essence of both of you. So now as the dialogue goes, the seed and the tree feel, if we are anadi, if we are beginningless, then we must be ananta also. We must be endless. Because it's a matched pair. What is anadi must be ananta. And what is adi, one which has a beginning, must also have an end. Like for example, the ornamentation of gold or any other metal for that matter. So the ornament is born at a particular time, and it can dissolve back into the gold at a particular time. So there is particularity of time. But the gold itself has always been there. So the seed and the tree argue to the earth that if we are both anadi, that means we must be ananta also. The tree responds to them and saying, that is not true. The two of you may be anadi, but you have an end. What is called sa-anta, santa. Antaha sahavartate iti santa. Means you have an end. You have beginningless, but you have an end. But how can you have an end? Because suppose you burn the seed and the tree together. Seed is also burned, so it cannot fructify. Tree is also burned. And they both dissolve back into the earth in ashes. All just gets scattered and becomes part of the earth. So yes, the seed and the tree have an end, but I don't have an end in that example. So very similarly to that is the case that my jivatvam, my sense of individuality, has no beginning. You cannot say, when did my sense of limitation start? You can say it never started. It's always been there. But like the bija and the vriksha, like the seed and the tree, my sense of individuality will come to an end. Jnana agni bhasmasat kurute he Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita. He says the notion of individuality will be burnt one day. My sense of limitation will be burnt, will be gone, even though it has been there for a long time. But you, the Atma, has always been anadi, like the earth in the example, and you will always be. Even fire and earth and nothing will affect you. Please understand that. So we will take up this line of thinking in our next class. How is that the case? And how that resolves into the words of the seventh mantra, Anta Pragya, Abhayish Pragya. So we will continue with that in the next class. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. It has been there for a long time. Thank you, Keshav. Yeah, 4.32 million years. Good, good, good. All right, very good to see you all. Wonderful. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Hari Om.